Hey guys, happy Thursday. I hope everybody's having a great week so far. I wanted to take a couple of minutes to kind of just pop into the Facebook group and kind of just share a little bit of my thoughts, maybe even a recap of sorts of, the Figure Medicare Agent Summit this year. We just got done with it a couple of days ago now, so the final day was Tuesday. Arrival day was on Sunday, and then the two actual days of the actual conference itself were Monday and Tuesday of this week, day 1 and day 2. And I've had a little bit of time to reflect on what I felt like the event was this year and how it went. Needless to say, let's start off by saying I feel like that this was our best event that we ever did, period. It was kind of surreal to me to kind of see it happening in real time, because for any of you that have ever ran a large event, even close to that size, even if you have an event that has 75 people at it or 100 people at it, you know that there is always a million things going on behind the scenes that the attendees may not be aware of, that you could really classify as fires, right? For lack of a better word, right? We had a year several years ago where, we had a speaker that just did not show up and we really didn't know they weren't going to be showing up. We've had years where speakers need to move days. We've had years where speakers become ill or under the weather, and we have to kind of dance and kind of figure it out. We've had years where, speakers go over their time slot by 30 or 40 minutes, and we got to figure out the pacing of everything, right? We've had years where we've been understaffed for the event. So regardless of whatever may be going on, oftentimes there are things that are going on, and it might not impact the event in a huge way that you as an attendee feel it or you notice it, but if you pay attention, it's there. This year there was really none of that. Shout out to our team, our ESI team, that really from a preparation standpoint to a execution standpoint, being where they needed to be at each time standpoint, our team just really did an absolutely phenomenal job at kind of helping make sure that this thing went on without a hiccup. And in a way, right, you situations where people just don't know what they're going to be able to expect coming into an event like this, right? So many events these days are big recruiting fests. They're big pitch fests. They are, what I like to call the rah-rah fest, right? And the summit has never really been about any of those things. People oftentimes ask me, why do we do it? When they really start having conversations about the logistics of it, People ask me all the time, why do we do it? Why do you guys go through all of the hassle with it? And the main reason that I'm asked this is because we really don't make much money or a profit of any kind on the event, right? Next year is going to be year 5 of us doing the summit. I can't believe that, by the way. That is really crazy to me. This year's year 4, next year's year 5. We typically don't lose money, although last year in Savannah, in 2024, we did lose money quite a bit. We lost, a couple 5 figures in total on the event. It was just a very expensive event to do. But typically we don't lose money, but we definitely don't make money. It's kind of a very close to break-even standpoint. And if we are making any money, there isn't any profit involved. It's very little. Very little amount. And the reason for that is because we don't go about it like some other events do, that the whole thing is there to make a profit, right? It's not about the value. It's not about the content. It's about selling things from stage. It's about, charging speakers tens of thousands of dollars to be on the stage. So then those speakers have to use their speaking slot to basically justify their investment. It's not ever been about any of that. It's been about content. It's been about value. And I've always told our speakers that, if you provide great value and you are almost in a way selflessly giving of yourself on the stage, the right people, they're going to be in attendance and they're going to want to seek you out and want to work with you. You're going to come across so positively. And we've seen that time and time again, right? That's a huge part of our business model, that attraction marketing of sorts. But, ultimately, this was our third time doing the summit in Salt Lake City. So for those of you that aren't aware, right, the history of the event is year one we did it was, I believe, 2022, and it was here in Salt Lake, and we had about 125 people in attendance, which I was very, very happy with at the time because it was our first time ever doing an event. We 100% had no idea what we were doing. I call that year the paper mache volcano event year because it was very much an experiment, right? We really had no idea what we were doing. But I felt like that event went really well, but it was smaller, right? But we spent basically $0 on advertising, $0 on marketing, anything like that. And 125 people came, which was astounding to me, just based on the power of the community, the power of the audience that we've developed that follow us for value. Second year, we had it back in Salt Lake City in 2023. We had about 175 people, give or take. And then we decided to take a little bit of a risk and a chance and chart into waters unknown and take the event for 2024, so last year, to Savannah, Georgia. For those of you that don't know, a person on our team, Celeste, she works remote for us. She is an agent for us. She has been one of our contracting specialists prior to that, right? So she's worn a couple different hats inside of the company. Well, she lives in Savannah, so it kind of made sense because she could scope out different locations and venues and things like that. It wasn't like we were completely blind to things. Like the positive thing and the nice thing about doing it in Utah is it's local to us. It's easy for us to kind of figure out where everything's going to be, right? So we kind of had that a little bit with her being on the ground in Savannah. But that year, where there was tremendous growth. I want to say we had about 315 people, which is the biggest event we ever had. And what I remember telling the team when we were talking about the 2025 event, the one this year that just got done, that just commenced, was if we can get the same amount of people to come to Salt Lake City, it's a win for us. If we can get enough interest into the event where that many people are willing to travel to Salt Lake City. Because let's face it, right? Salt Lake City is a beautiful city, but I don't think people realize how cool of a place it is until they're here. It's probably not at the top of most people's bucket lists in terms of like, oh, I want to go on vacation. Yeah, let me go to Salt Lake City, right? Savannah's probably more in that conversation than Salt Lake City is. And so that's a big part of it, right? Even though it's not really a vacation necessarily, a lot of people like to make it a workcation to where they kind of build in the vacation with the event. So it's not always just about the content. It's not always just about the value. That's why some of these events that take place in, like Dallas or Las Vegas or anything like that, they're able to pull such huge amounts of people, 1,000 people, 1,500 people, 2,000 people. But, so for this year, we oversold our capacity. If you were there in person, you might have noticed that it was very full, very, very full, but not too full to where the people didn't have seats or anything like that, but it was packed. It was a packed house. And, we had about, I still need to look at all the numbers, but we had more people there than we did last year, which I'm so humbled and grateful for that. So it's going to be somewhere between 315 to 350 people. We have a certain amount of people that are registered, but there's always reasons why, for one reason or another, someone isn't able to make it, that bought a ticket, that kind of thing. So, people have asked me over the past couple of days how I feel like the event went. I think the event was a grand slam. I think it was fantastic. I think we had some of the best content ever from the stage. I feel like the networking, the value, just the amazing people that were there. It was just a home run all the way around. And for all of you that did come out to the event this year, we really, really appreciate your support, and we appreciate all the positive feedback that we've been getting, because we've been getting a ton of it. We're glad to hear all of the positive feedback, and we're glad that you walked away with it in such a positive light. And, it's going to be able to give you a lot of tools to really kind of continue to grow your business. That's always been what the summit's all about. The summit is not necessarily an ESI, Everything Senior Insurance, for those of you that don't know my company, hype fest or propaganda fest, or even a Christian Brindle propaganda fest. We do get a little bit of the lasting effects of that from us putting it on and providing content and being speakers and everything like that, just naturally, without us really having to try too hard. But that's not what it's about. It's really a celebration of the industry and a celebration of agents growing their businesses to levels they didn't think they could do, or they didn't know it was possible. That's why we open it up to other groups, that don't work with us. We invite speakers to speak on the stage that don't do business with us necessarily, right? Like, we had speakers this year that we don't really do any business with, but we thought that they provided a lot of value. And we thought they would be good for the audience to hear. And that's always been our mentality, and that's always been our attitude. And so, if you hadn't heard already, the summit will be back next year. Got a lot of questions about that. So 2026, it's going to be back here in Salt Lake City. The dates are going to be June 15th through the 17th. So the plan right now, it's early. We're a year away at this point, but the plan is 15th will be arrival day, registration party, just similar to this year. And then 16th and 17th will be main event days, and we might change the format up a little bit. We haven't really discussed any of this at all yet internally. It's so early. And the tickets are 50% off until the end of the day, Friday, tomorrow. So the 27th, I believe. So we lowered the price this year, for next year, because we wanted to make it available to more agents than ever, right? So tickets are $400, which they were $500 for 2025 event. For 2026, they're $400, and until the end of the day tomorrow, Friday, they're 50% off at $200. I feel like this event this year did have a lot of unique aspects to it, right? Like, for those of you that don't know, I am expecting a baby with my wife, of course. My wife is expecting, I should say. I'm not the one expecting. But my wife is expecting a baby. And, we booked everything for this year's event, obviously, way in advance, right? Every year we have to book the plan for what the event is going to look like and where it's going to be and everything like that, and the venue before the event happens that year, because that way we can offer tickets for the next year. And then after we booked everything, after all the contracts were signed, my wife and I found out that she was pregnant with our second child. And so a lot of you guys probably know, but, this event, we were, kind of going through it with the expectation that at any given second, my wife could go into labor and I'd be pulled away. So there was a lot of unique pins and needles kind of, elements to this year's event that I feel like made it very unique. I feel like our team handled it really well. And my attitude was like, I'm just going to proceed as if it's not going to happen. And if it happens, it happens. There's nothing I can do about it. But I'm going to proceed as if it's not going to happen and just get through it one day at a time. So my wife's induction date for the baby, so induction meaning like we're going in to have the baby, unless it comes sooner, is this Saturday, the 28th. And from what I got out of talking to her doctor, they felt like there was a 50-50 chance that the baby could come during the event. Coin flip, right? Because with everything they're seeing, they were like, we'd be very surprised if she made it all the way to induction. But so basically the event started on Sunday, went Monday, Tuesday. Our baby will be born if he doesn't come sooner on Saturday. So the timelines of this are unprecedented, crazy. Obviously, for those of you that don't know, we got through it. No baby yet. Looks like as of now, we'll probably make it to Saturday, but if we don't, oh well, we got through the event. That's all that I really asked. But, that was a unique challenge that we had this year that I've never experienced kind of anything quite like that before. And it made this year very unique, very memorable for that reason. But I feel like this was our best event ever. I feel like, everything went very smoothly, and I feel like everything it was, from an execution standpoint, very smooth, very little hiccups and everything like that. I'm very grateful again to all of our sponsors that supported. Without our sponsors, we could not pay for the event. I mean, we could, but we'd be, huge amounts of money out of pocket in the red, which at that point we really don't want to do it. Like, our attitude is like, if we can not lose money, cool, sign me up. I'm happy to do it, for the industry, for the agents, everything like that. But if we're going to lose like 50 grand or 100 grand, I really don't have much of an interest, because it's not just a financial aspect of it. It's all of the time commitment that goes into it. I mean, you've seen other big events walk away from doing conference style events like this. And that right there is the reason why. It's because it really is like planning a wedding. Glenn said this, and I think he said it really accurately years ago. It's like planning a wedding every year. You invite people, things like that. But it's probably even worse, to be honest, than planning a wedding, because more expensive. I mean, I guess it depends. Some weddings are crazy expensive and big and grandiose and everything like that. But, it's the time commitment just as much as the financial commitment of it every single year that goes into it, right? It's like, it's so difficult to really put a finger on it and pinpoint exactly how much goes into it all around, right? You factor in like payroll costs from staff and everything like that. And so, yeah, I mean, for us, at the very least for next year, we have made the commitment to run the event back and bring it back and make sure that we are putting on the best show we possibly can for all of you. People have asked me if we're going to do it past next year. Gotten that question already, past 2026. The short answer is I don't know. I never look at this event more than 1 year out at a time. And the reason for that is because I just don't know what's going to happen. A lot can happen in a year. It's such a big commitment for us that we do really evaluate it on a year-to-year basis. And that's kind of our mentality about the whole thing. But in a way, it's one of those things that we always are trying to make sure that we can bring it back each and every year. Like, we don't want to have to shut it down. We don't want to do what some of these other events are doing right now. We feel like there's a need for what we're providing. We feel like there's a lot of value in what we're providing. We feel like it helps a lot of agents in ways that we can't really calculate. And so it's important to us to bring the event back. As I mentioned, if you don't have your ticket already for 2026, make sure to get your ticket. It's 50% off. It's $200, guys. Like, where can you get value like this for $200? That is the most insane. I think that's the cheapest we've ever put tickets out there. I want to say. I'd have to go back and look. It's right up there if it's not. For a growing event like the Summit, we lowered the cost. A lot of events do it the other way around. A lot of events, as they grow, they raise the cost for the ticket prices, not us. We lowered the cost for next year. We made it less expensive to get in. So make sure you get your ticket while you can. 2026, it'll be here before you know it. And every year this event does sell out, and there are people that are wanting to go that wait till the last second and then they're disappointed that they can't get in. Make sure that's not you. If you're going to buy a ticket anyway, or you're thinking about buying a ticket anyway, you might as well get it cheaper, right? That just makes sense to me. But anyway, all in all, I give this event an A+. I think it was our best summit ever. And props to our team. Props to Glenn. I guess props to me, I guess, for running the show, and being the host. But also props to all our sponsors that help make it possible. Props to all of you guys that bought tickets and came out and supported. We really appreciate you guys. But more than anything, I hope that you walked away with it with just 10x, 20x the value of what you paid for. So with that, I will bid you guys adieu on this. I just wanted to kind of pop in here and share some of my final thoughts and on the event. And it was a great year. And very, very appreciative. Had a great time. So glad I got to spend some time with so many of you in person. I feel like this year our team was so good and so on point that Glenn and I really were able to spend more time out there networking with the agents and kind of, socializing. And that's what it's all about for me. So until next time, guys, just me sharing some of the voices that roll around in my head, right? Make sure to get your ticket, 2026 7 Figure Medicare Agent Summit, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks, everybody.